Hi and welcome to Tasmania Vibes, and this is my tips for beginner witches. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and let's get into it. Okay, first and foremost, I would just like to say that you don't have to buy everything. As soon as you decide that you want to be a witch or you feel like you want to advance in your practice, you don't have to go out and buy everything brand new. If you do this, it can be so expensive. And it's just one of them that you can collect things over time. You can make a lot of things yourself. I've got my altar here. You can see a couple of items that I've actually made myself. You can collect things through nature. You can recycle things like jars. Jars is always a good one. Old pasta jars, coffee pots, anything. You can just recycle it and reuse it, which is always good. You can go into second-hand stores or thrift stores, depending on where you are, and you can just use old materials and things like that. So you don't have to buy everything as soon as you start, because trust me, it will get stupidly expensive. Number two, don't forget to research. Now, researching is a massive part when it comes to witchcraft. You have to research what you're working with, who you're working with, how you're going to work with spirit guides, your ancestors, or even your higher self, or just overall general spirits. You want to research what type of witch you are. That's if you want to be put in a particular bracket. Me personally, I'm a spiritual witch, but I'm also an eclectic witch. I'm also a green witch. I don't fit in one particular box. However, I do just say I'm a spiritual witch. Research on deities. Do you have a deity that you want to work with? I don't know if you can see up here, but I tend to work with Lucifer a lot. He's someone that I've felt in my soul that I wanted to work with. I've always been very big on Lucifer since I was like 14. So he's always been my kind of go-to deity. Research your crystals, what type of crystals, for what spell, what ritual. Another thing with crystals is that your small ones work just as well as your big ones, so don't feel obliged to buy the big crystals just because witches have them. The small ones work just as well as the bigger ones. I keep a couple of little ones on my altar. I do have crystals all around my house, but these are the ones I tend to keep on my altar. They're not big at all. They don't need to be big. You want to research the colours of your candles because they all mean different things. Your herbal uses, you want to research all of them as well, on what you're going to be using for your spells or rituals or anything that you want to do with it. But there's so much you can research, so just make sure you research all of them. Number three is your altar. You don't have to have a massive altar either, like you see on social media. I've noticed in the past couple of years it's become an aesthetic to be a witch. So they tend to like go overboard on their altars, which there's nothing wrong with that. If you want a massive altar, you do that. This is my one. Mine's only little. I do tend to expand it in the future, but I can quite easily work with this space that I've got here. I mean, with your altars, I know there are some people that are not quite out of what they call the broom closet. So you can have a portable altar, so something that you can just pack away, put it away, bring it out when you need it, or you can have a permanent one. At the minute, I keep acorns just because we're in the middle of winter, feathers because I work with Lucifer. I have bones. I tend to keep a lot of bones on my altar. Tarot cards, my pendulum. You can just make that out there. I make little items as well out of nature. Anyone could do this. It's literally just a couple of twigs and some string. Incense and my candle holder. The other bones that I got. It's cute, right? These were free, by the way. Again, you don't have to pay for everything. I actually found those bones on an exploration. If you haven't watched any of my videos, I'm a paranormal investigator and an urban explorer, so I tend to find a lot of items on the way. Make sure you have a safe space. You don't actually have to have an altar, as long as you're in a space that is protected and you feel comfortable working in it. It's fine. It's completely fine. Number four, when you start your spells, always ground yourself first. That's just a massive thing. Make sure you're grounded, make sure you're protected. When witches start, they tend to use their own energy as they're meditating and as they're doing their own spells. However, if you use the earth's energy, it won't tire you out. Trust me, I've made that mistake before. So I've actually used my own energy when I have been doing spell work, and I get really dehydrated, I get a massive headache, and I just feel drained because I've used my own energy. So if you use the earth's energy, make sure you draw it up from the earth. It will make you feel so much better, and it tends to be more powerful as well. Number 5 is start journaling. I'm not one to like to write a lot of things down. However, when I do a spell, I tend to write what I've used, the chant that I used, the herbs that I've used, and then as the days go on, I like to see any signs and write them down, just so it's like a confirmation to myself that it's working. I really do suggest that you start journaling. I mean, I always suggest people do shadow work anyway, which you can write down in a journal if that's what you want to do. Shadow work as well is also plays a massive part when it comes to witchcraft. Number 6 is don't go head first into doing spells and rituals. If this is your first time, try doing the small spell first, because there's always a chance for it to backfire on you, especially if you're not doing your research. It can always backfire. Some believe in the threefold law, some don't. That's down to your own preference. However, if let's just say you, I don't know, do a love spell, that just tends to be the most common for first spells for some reason. I don't personally like the idea of love spells just because of freedom of will, but that could also backfire and something negative could happen to you. So if you want to do a first spell, I would always do protection first, even if it's for me or my home. So do like, you know, putting your salt around your front door, your back door, to make sure you don't let any negative energies in your home. You can also sage your house as well, but make sure you keep your windows open. That's a massive I have seen videos of where people are saging their house and none of their windows are open. It's like, okay, but how's all that negative energy is going to go out of the house if all your doors and windows are closed? Like, it's just lingering around. You can also blow cinnamon through your front door on the 1st of every month as well, and do a little money chant as you're doing that. That's a big one for witches. A lot of people tend to do this one. So just start off small and then kind of work your way up. Don't just dive in. Just don't do it. Number 7, divination. So you've got your tarot cards, you have pendulums, you have crystal balls, you have your runes. And my preferred method, I know a lot of people are not going to like this one, but it's a spirit board. When it comes to a spirit board, when it comes to like movies and things like that, it's been hyped up in such a negative way. However, using a spirit board is the exact same as using tarot cards. It's the exact same as using a pendulum. It's the exact same as using any other form of divination. You are never going to know what comes through, ever. Because people have put a negative image on spirit boards, like, oh no, don't use that, it's demonic. Well, it's not. It's not. I always use a spirit board. I prefer using a spirit board because I get more of a clearer message. It's the same with all the other divinations. Always research how to use them, how to open your practice, close the practice, and then make sure you're protected when you're using them, and you will be fine. I have never, in my whole 5 years I've been doing witchcraft, not once have I ever got anything negative to come out of that spirit board. Not once. Obviously, I'm not going to recommend using spirit boards just because there's quite a controversy about it. Because I'm pretty sure someone's going to be commenting on this video going, you should never use a spirit board. It's evil. It's not true. It's not true. It's not. Research your divination on the type that you prefer. And when it also comes to the tools that you're using, make sure that they pick you. So what I mean by that is, if you see, let's say tarot cards for instance, if you see 5 packs of tarot cards, right, just in front of you, have a little look at them and see which one that you're drawn to the most. And that is the one you should go for. It's the same with pendulums or anything like that. Always go for the one that you are the most drawn to. Number 8 is protection. So I always like to recommend that everyone be protected all the time, no matter if they're doing spell work or anything like that. I'm always protected. Like I said, I always have crystals around my house. I've got bells on my doors. I wear crystals. I wear the bracelets. I'm just constantly always protected. As I said about, I am a paranormal investigator, so I tend to work with spirits a lot, not just in my house, which I do. I do a lot of spirit board work in my house. I collect haunted items as well. But I also go to abandoned places that are haunted. I do group tours where we do paranormal investigations. So I personally need to be protected all the time just because it's something that I do. However, I suggest it for anyone that's trying to work with spirits or any type of spell work, ritual. Just always be protected. Always be protected. So that is my tips for beginner witches. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments below and I shall get back to you. I might even make another video about it, going into a little bit more detail. I hope that anyone that's just starting the practice enjoys it. Just have fun with it. It's a big step and you should be proud of yourself for taking that step. Even though it's becoming more and more common in this day and age, people still frown upon it. So welcome to the witch club, as you could call it. And yeah, just have fun with it, just go with it and just always go with what resonates with you. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and I shall see you next time in the next video.